The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this webinar. This going to be on basics, back to basics, how to start a part. This is for people who are new to SolidCAM or thinking of purchasing SolidCAM, not sure how to go about it, and for people who perhaps have not had any formal training from ourselves on SolidCAM, how to use SolidCAM. My name is Les Bolan, and I'm one of the applications engineers here at SolidCAM UK. And today I'm going to do a few simple procedures that I've found that people seem to do incorrectly when I've been visiting companies who've just started using it, or they've not been shown how to do it correctly. This particular part you can see in front of you here, I've created this part just to demonstrate a few ways of doing some simple operations. The boss that's sticking up there, the round boss on the left hand side of the part, I'm going to show you a way of clearing that. I visited a company just last week where they'd been using SolidCAM for some years. They'd had SolidCAM for quite a few years, but over the years people had come and gone and left. The people who had had the formal training had left the company, and people had been sort of picking it up as they went along. And so they requested some training, and when I went down there, they were using it completely incorrectly, and it wasn't any wonder that the cycle times were massive, because they were just wasting the time with hair cutting. I'll demonstrate it and show you several ways of clearing this boss operation. Also, what we're going to do whilst we're on this part, we've got some pocketing operations that we're going to do, pockets and profiles and so on and so forth. When do you need to use the pocketing? When do you need to use the profile, and so on? So we'll do that. So what we've got here is a part in front of us that's in the SolidWorks environment. So if you imagine that you've just either modelled this up, or you've been sent it by a customer, or your design department, or whatever. So we need to know how we're going to create the part from the SolidWorks model into a SolidCAM part. So the first thing we do is in the SolidCAM tab that's on the SolidWorks menu, click on there and click New, and we're going to do a milling part. So obviously these are the different modules that we've got within the SolidCAM environment. We're going to use milling, and so I'll select that, and I'm going to create an external model. This is the part name, etc. I'll gloss over that a little bit, but that's basically how we end up creating it. So I'll click OK on that, and we get up our setup menu. Here we are with our setup menu. So in this setup menu, we select our machine that we're going to be using, which I've already selected there as the first one. The coordinate system, we're going to define that as to be an area on the part where you want to create your datum. And obviously this has got to be in line with the machine axes. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is picking a face here to come off. So I'm going to pick on this this top face. That's the direction I want the Z-axis to be aligned with, and it's created a datum there in the center of the part, because that's where I've got it set to on the setting here. If I want to move that, I can do, but I'm going to leave it there for now, because we're not going to go on about the coordinate too much on here. I'm just going to create some tool path. So there's our coordinate. It's aligned with the y-axis being across the part, and the x-axis being along the part, which is in line with the way I'm going to put it on the machine. That's very important that you do that. It's got to be aligned correctly with how the machine is. So I'll give that a green tick. I'm happy with that where that's going to be. And now I'm going to create a stock model. No, I'm not, because yes, I am. So this is there. I was wondering what I was doing there for a second. Okay, because you can have it automatically set to define the stock, and I was wondering if that's what had already been done, but no. I'm going to select it manually, and so I click on stock, and I'm going to create a box just around the theoretical box of the stock around the extreme boundaries of this model. And so if I just click on that model to say that, yeah, create a box around that model, and it does so there. You can see the green lines there. That's going to be my stock. I'll give that the old green tick, and the next thing I'm going to tell it is what the target is. That means what is it that I'm going to be machining, because you can have more than one model obviously on your screen. You can have a model of your vise or your fixture or whatever. So I'm going to tell it which model it is that I'm going to be machining, which is that one there. It is the only one, obviously. Green tick once again. That's it, defined. That's the part fully defined now. We've told it what machine we're going to be doing it on. We've told it what the coordinate system is, so how it's aligned up on the machine, and we've given it a stock, and we've told it what the model is that we're machining on. So give that the green tick. Now we're taking into the CAM environment fully. This is on the left hand side. You can see what we call our CAM tree. You'll be probably familiar with what is the SolidWorks feature tree. Well, we have our SolidCAM tree, and here is the all the different settings that we've just made here in the top of the tree there. What we're interested in here is the bottom one. We're going to put some machining operations on here. I'm not going to mess about and explain all the other little intricacies, because that'll just take too much time with this webinar. It's only going to be a quick webinar of about 20 minutes to half an hour. So we'll get on with doing some toolpath. So the first thing I'm going to be interested in doing is machining down from the stock, which is at the top level of the model. I'm going to machine down to this level here and leave that little boss on there. And this is what I was talking about earlier when the company that I visited last week, where they were using it all wrong. They were going about it completely incorrectly because they didn't know how to use the software, and hence the requirement for further training. So how do we clear a boss like that that's to one side of a job like that? Well, we have various ways. I'll show you the way that the guys at this place we're using, and it's quite understandable why they would use that, because they've probably only ever been shown that. So I'm going to add a milling operation, and I'm going to create a profiling operation. And this is the incorrect way, by the way, I'm showing you here. This is what isn't a very good method for doing this. I mean, it's good for some methods, but not this particular one. So I'll click OK on that. That's my profile. And I'm going to quickly select a tool, and I'll create a new 20mm end mill. Let's change the size there to 20mm. Up a level. And by the way, when you create your levels, the more information you take off the model, the more associativity it has with the model, and the less requirements for you to be needing to make changes. If the model was to change, you have less work to do with your programming. So I'm going to just have a quick look at my geometry here in the technology menu. We're putting on the left hand side of the line, and that's where our tool is going to machine around that part. So if I was to now move to, all I'm going to do is one cut here. I'm not going to bother with step downs. I'm going to just do one cut. If I was to, I'll just put a lead in and a lead out on there. I'm going to save and calculate that. Now I'm going to simulate it. Now if I was to just do that now, all it's going to do is plunge straight down and go around that boss. That's what we expect it to do. But really we want to be clearing this area. So what these chaps were doing, they could see this, the fact that you had a clear offset, and they would put a value in where it would take them to right across to this side here, 130 in this case. So I'll just make that 125. So that'll take my first cut off. It's a 20mm cut, so I'll step over at 10mm. Save and calculate that, and I'll quickly just have a look at the tool path there. Now you can see it's clearing. Can you see that? Hopefully you can see that. It's yellow. It's a bit difficult to see. I'll change the colour of the tool just for clarity. It's a bit faded on the background there. I'll make it a nice lovely shade of blue. Okay, so now we can see our tool path, and it is indeed going to go around that boss and clear all that material there that we've just seen, but it's doing it in a way, where's my tool gone? It's doing it in a way that it's got loads of air cutting. So these guys at this company that I was at, they were spending so much time. I don't know what's happened to my tool there, but they're spending so much time cutting fresh air that there's no wonder the cycle times were absolutely crazy. So I ended up having to show them the correct way of doing this, which is there's a couple of ways of doing this. What I will show you is the first way, which is in fact not a profiling operation at all, so I'll delete that. And what we're going to do is we're going to call it a pocket. We're going to pretend that this whole area here is a pocket and that is an island in the middle of the pocket. So okay, how do we do that? Right, well, first of all I'll add another milling operation, and this time it's going to be the pocket strategy. Now a pocket by its very nature is, or rather the pocketing strategy by its very nature is used for clearing areas. So we're already on the correct strategy for clearing an area. What I'm going to do here though is I'm going to tell the geometry that this outer area is its limit. Now I could go all the way around this outer area here and skip over this here, but it's just as easy for me to click on the bottom area there and do an auto constant Z, so it brings it all the way around in a big loop. So that's our first chain. Chain number 1, as you can see on the corner there, and I'm going to create the second chain around our island. So we've got 2 chains to create our pocket. So we're telling it here this is our area of interest, and that is a boundary that we are going to be wanting to machine around. But what the pocketing strategy will do, it'll try and machine down into this top of this what I've told it is a pocket, and clear that area. So first of all, I'll do it the way you would expect it to be with a pocketing operation, and I'm going to use that same lovely tool to do it, and just check that the levels are correct. So my upper level is going to be up here, and my bottom level is put 30 on there, which is the level of the line that I clicked on, but we don't want to be using the we want to be going to that face there, which is only 10 millimeters deep. I'll step down maximum of 10, so it's all going to be doing it in one level, same as we did on the previous example. And now I'm just going to do a contour and let it step over by 50% of the value of the tool, 10 millimeters in this case. And in my link I'm just going to choose the helical, which is what you would expect to do in a pocketing operation, and it'll do the pocket in the way we expect it to. There's the tool path on the part there, and it is indeed going to clear the area as we expect it to, and it's going to helically ramp down there and into the pocket area and clear that. It doesn't clear the outside edge obviously because of the radius of the cutter, so we'd have to tell it to come out a little bit further. But we don't need to do that because there's another way, and this isn't obvious, I must admit. It's not an obvious way for somebody who doesn't see or hasn't been on any training rather for SolidCAM. It's not obvious what to do about that. And what we can do in the geometry, if I go back into our geometry and edit that geometry, and on the outer line, our first chain, which is this outer box here, if I right click on that box and say mark that chain as open, what we're telling it there is that that outer boundary isn't a boundary. In fact, it's just an outer. It's just the outer of your area. It's this outside of your area. So it can now, the tool knows now that it can access that area from outside. It's not a boundary as such. So having done that, once I go back into the technology menu, we have an extra tab has been created, because now all of a sudden SolidCAM now knows, because I've created an open chain, it knows that, well, this is an open pocket strategy. So it's given us the new option here of, well, what do you want to do with an open pocket? Well, if I click in that tab, I can say to it, well, I want you to use a profile strategy, same as if you were, instead of using a pocketing strategy, use a profiling strategy to go around the profile. And I can say to it, well, I also want you to approach from the outside of it. So like if you imagine it being like this shape here, it would approach from the outside of that pocket rather than from the inside. So now if I save and calculate that, and we have a look at our toolpath now, you'll see that it's just concentrating on machining that area. It's approaching it from the outside and it's clearing the area there. We can see here a little cut that may miss it, so I can just simulate that and see what that does. I'll single step it, and our first cut comes down and does a little tickling around the outside of the corners type of strategy first without doing any cutting. So I can change that by this here. We've got in our open pocket strategy, we've got an extension value here that's a percentage of the tool diameter. So I'm telling it to stay off the edge a little bit by 10% of the tool value. Now that if I put that to 0, I'm thinking to myself, because I've got no stocks as such around there, I'll change that slightly, and it should be a little bit tidier there. So the tool now comes down away from the edge, but it'll take the first cut, and it'll step up each time and clear that whole area. It's just tidying the corners up there so that it can then spin around and do the whole island in a straight cut. So it's taking the little corners off here before it sort of arcs around that island. So that's a handy way of clearing an island, if you like. If you're clearing an area for a boss or an upstand that's in the middle of a part. So instantly, when I showed these guys this strategy, this company, they thought it was fantastic because it saved them so much time. But with a bit of basic training, they could have done it much earlier. But hey ho, that's why they had the training in the first place. But I'd just like to make you aware that there is another way of doing this, and this may be somewhere where you've not looked. If I delete that operation once again, so we've got no operation in our tree. There's another way of doing this, really rather quickly as well. If I was to go into operations once more and add a milling operation, and we'll have a, sorry about me, mouse keeps flying off in different directions. We have a look at what's in our toolbox. We've got toolbox cycles here. Now, I've got the idea that people don't tend to go in there and use that because they've either not been shown or they forget about it. But if you go into toolbox cycles, there's some predefined strategies in there and how to do certain features quite quickly. And they are quite self-explanatory. It just takes a bit of getting used to and playing and experimenting with them and see what each one does. It gives you a big clue as to what each one does with the graphics here. It's telling you here in this top right hand graphic here, it's saying if you pick them two lines there, the red ones, if you pick them two lines there, I'm going to do this. So let's have a look at what's in there. We have a look at our, click on the technologies, and you've got a whole load of strategies here, predefined toolpaths that will be created if you pick a certain type of geometry. So if I click on this one, for instance, which is called Simple Boss, you get an idea as to what we're going to do. So if I click on there, on the Simple Boss technology, it's telling you here, if you make the first chain, pick the first chain as being the outer area, and being the second chain as being the inner area of where your boss is, it's going to do this. It's going to clear that whole area. So first of all then, let's do that. Click on New for Geometry, and we'll do exactly as it says. We'll make the first geometry the outer geometry. Now once again, I could go around, well I will do, just for the sake of it. I'll go around here, round there, round there, round there, and then I'm going to do point to point from there to there. Yes. I mean, I could have done exactly as I did earlier and just gone around the bottom. It doesn't matter what level the actual geometry is, so as long as it's the correct shape. So that's my first line of geometry, and I'm going to click on that one there, and that's the second line of geometry. So 1 and 2, exactly as it says in the graphic. So it's important that you get it the right way around. The first one is outside of your area, the second chain and any subsequent chains could be the inside of the area. Okay, so tool, once again I'm going to pick the same tool that we had, and our levels have already been set there, but I'm just going to take them from the model just to make sure that it's associated with the model. In technology now, remember this is a predefined strategy for clearing an area for around a boss. So we've got a step down value of 10, which is what I'm going to use, which is the full value of the full depth rather. And it's set to step over at 5, which is a bit small. I'm going to set it up, step over at 10, which is what I did last time. And you've got extension values again, same as you had in the open pocket tab that we saw earlier. I'll leave that set at the default value again, and we can see what it does. And that's it. There's no link. You notice there's no lead in, lead out, and nothing like that. So we'll save and calculate that, and let's have a look at our toolpath this time. See what we've got. And hey ho, something very similar to what we had with the open pocket strategy, but because it's a predefined strategy, I haven't had to tell it in the geometry line that the chain was open. That's the only difference really from this and the open pocket strategy, but both you get similar results with the same thing. So I'll once again simulate that just for completion, and once again it is doing that little tickling around the corners because I've told it it's a clear area, and it's just going to do exactly the same as the open pocket strategy, but it's as I say, a predefined strategy for clearing areas around an upstand or so on and so forth. You'll also notice in there, by the way, that there's a separate one for multi-bosses. This is called simple boss, the one I've just shown you. There's another one here called simple multi-bosses. If you've got several little areas that you want to clear around, you can use that strategy there. It's just slightly different. Okay, so I hope that helped to explain something that you may or may not have already known. I thought I'd go into that because of what I experienced last week when I visited the company that I was telling you about. Okay, so that's our area cleared. Now what I'm going to show you now is pockets. We've already touched on the subject of pockets when we're clearing this area, when in fact it wasn't what you would call a true pocket. I mean, this is a pocket, isn't it? This is what we call a pocket, something that's been cut out of the material, and it's got boundaries around all sides. So that's a pocket. That's a pocket. Is that a pocket? Well, it is sort of a pocket, but you've got an open edge to it. So we already know how we can deal with that now. So, but what you may not know, what we can do is we can do all of these in one operation. These are different levels, by the way. I don't know if you can see that on the model. That's 10 millimeters deep, I think, if I remember. That's 20, and that's only 5 millimeters deep. What we can do with this, deal with this all in one operation in SolidCAM. So if I'm going to create a new pocket operation in there, add a milling operation, pocket, and I'm going to say to SolidCAM, right, okay, I've got these 3 pockets to do. I've got hang on a second, so I'm going to create a new geometry, and I'm going to just pick on simple way to create geometry in a pocket, multi-chain. Click add a multi-chain. So I'm going to say to it, well, I've got a pocket there. Can you see it's created a chain there? And I've got a pocket there, and I've got a pocket there. So it's created me 3 yellow chains around them areas. Can you see that? So I'll go, okay, thank you. And what it's done there, it's now going to give me chain 1, chain 2 and chain 3 in the order that I picked them. But we've got an open edge here on this pocket. So on chain 3, which is what that is, on chain 3, if I right click on there, I can say, well, I want to mark an open edge there. So I'm going to click mark open edge. And I'll click on that edge there. Open edge. Give that the green tick. And then say, yeah, I'm happy with that. There's my 3 chains. And it'll machine that in that order. 1, 2, 3. Give that the green tick. I'll pick a tool now, different tool to the one I had earlier because it needs to be slightly smaller again there. Them radii in the corner there are 10 mil. So I'll, sorry, 5 mil. So I'll go just get a smaller tool that'll go in there. So I'll create an 8 mil end mill here to use for this operation. Just make sure I get in them corners. Select that. And here we go into our levels. Now you'll notice that there's a little feature here, and this is to tell it whether we're using a constant depth or a variable depth. Well, we're going to be using a variable depth. What has got to be the same though is the upper level has got to be the same level. So I can tell it the upper level is going to be there, taken directly from that face, taken directly from the model. So from there, we've got variable depth. So I'm going to just click on that variable icon there, and then look at our variable depths. So what it's saying here is chain 1, chain 2 and chain 3, and it's saying to me, it's telling me that they're all 20 millimeters. Well, we know it's not because it doesn't know it. All it can do is tell you where the chains are. So I'm going to, on chain 1, I'm just going to click on the bottom of the face on chain 1, and you can see immediately it's changed that to 10 millimeters there, which is the depth of that particular one there. I'll move on to the next one and click on that one, and there it is, 15. Click on the next one, it's highlighted that for me, chain 3, click on there, it tells me that's 5. And I know that because I made the model and that's what they are. So they're the depths of them faces. So okay, fantastic. Now then we've got a step down value. Now obviously with them being 5, 10 and 15 millimeters deep, I'm going to step down at levels of 5 millimeters in them pockets. My technology, just the same as before, I'm just going to rough it all out. I'm not going to do any finishes. I'm just going to do it as it's supposed to be. In my link, what I need to tell it is that I want to ramp down in a helical fashion, and I'm going to lead out with an arc. Okay. I'll tell you what I didn't do. I forgot to mention the fact that in my technology it's given me the open pocket tab because one of the pockets is open. So if I go in open pocket, let me just show you something here as well, by the way. Lead in, it's not letting me lead in, it's grayed out. So in my technology tab, open pocket, once again I'm going to do the same as I did last time. I'm going to use the profile strategy, same as it's on there in the graphic there that you can see for that pocket. Exactly the same type of pocket as that's there. I'm also going to approach from the outside. So once I've told it that I'm going to approach from the outside, it thinks, well, you need a lead in then. So it's allowing me now to put a lead in. So I'll just put an arc in. Actually, I probably don't even need to do that. I'll probably put none, in fact. probably won't even need to use one. So I'll not. I'll see what it does, in fact. So I'll save and calculate that now. We have a look at our toolpath. And you can see there that it's jumping up each time it's doing a profile, so I don't want it to do that. So I'm going to tell it here, links between passes, I'll just keep that tool down. And it does do that. Okay. We've got to lead out each time here as well. So I in fact don't need to have a lead in or a lead out on there, because it's doing a profile strategy and it's coming out quite happily there from what I can see. Okay, you will also notice though that in the pocket area where it's is a proper bounded pocket, it has to helically mill down into them areas. But for the open pocket, we've told it that it's an open strategy, profile strategy, and it can approach from the outside, so it does that. So it can do this all in one operation. So I'm going to simulate that now and see what we get here. That's just hit the top of me stock there, because I've just realised it hasn't updated my stock from the previous operation. So let me quickly just instead of doing that, I'll simulate the two of them instead of rather update the stock. I'd forgotten that I've got my update stock switched off because it was taking too long on a previous job that I was doing. Okay, so we've got our first operation done. Now we're doing our second operation, where we're helically milling down into our pocket, and it's stepping down at the values that we told it to at 5mm, and then it's done the outer one. That was a bit quick, wasn't it? Okay, so one more thing I could show you what to do on that second operation is that if you wanted to change the order that you do things, you can do quite easily by going into your geometry and saying, well, actually I want to do chain 3 first. I want to do the outer one first. I'm not bothered about doing which order I do the other two in, but I definitely want to do the outer one first. You can drag that chain 3 up to the top, and then it'll do 3, then 1, then 2 in that order. It's easier than messing about with the sorting. Save and calculate it, and there you can see it's doing that first, then moving over and doing the other two. Just for the sake of completion, I'll simulate that. Obviously, I have to simulate it all. Simulate that once again. Turn that down. Okay, there we go with our first operation once again, and then you'll see when we come to our second operation, it will indeed do the open pocket first, and then the other two. Okay, just let it do it. Okay, so as you can see, a couple of simple operations that I've done there in SolidCAM. You can see how easily it is that you can create pockets, open pockets, clear areas around a boss, etc. Now then, I forgot to mention that you know, if you've got any questions, you can use the little hold your hand up icon on your panel there, or you can email me here direct at les@solidcamuk.com. If you've got any further questions, if you have something that I haven't covered today that you might be interested in knowing about, you can do. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed this little webinar on some simple yet very straightforward processes that common processes that we do in SolidCAM, showing you how to get started from your SolidWorks part and creating some toolpath in the pocket and the profile strategies, and also not forgetting what's in your toolbox. People tend to forget about that, I think, so always worth just having a quick look in your toolbox and seeing if there's a predefined strategy to do the type of feature that you're looking at on your part. Okay, well, that's the end of the webinar. I haven't seen anybody ask any questions, but as often happens with these things, somebody may indeed be holding their hand up and I can't see it because of this screen here. I can't see that anyone's asking any questions, so thank you very much for attending this webinar, and I hope you have a good weekend. Thank you very much, everybody. Bye bye.